the table means that Liverpool are 7 clear of Arsenal. Now that's it. We are even when it comes to the games played. 24 apiece, 14 matches to go. Liverpool 7 ahead with a superior goal difference. For Everton, David Moyes made quite the difference, hasn't he, since coming in. They are currently sitting 15th in the table. They are 10 clear of Leicester now in the relegation zone. From all this, we'll be hearing from Julien Laurent in a moment. But overall, Stevie, you cut a very frustrated figure throughout much of this game.
Not all of it. Yeah. All of it.
All of the game, yes.
All of it.
Well, listen, I don't mind Everton, but when you're playing against them, it changes. And I was a little punterish, to be honest.
Right.
But I've got to say, even I forgot what it was like to play in a derby at Goodison. You know, you always tend to think, well, I know it's tight, and I know they're going to close you down, but Liverpool, man for man, are so much better than Everton, and so eventually they'll weather the storm and then they'll outplay them. And I should have known better, because this has never happened. Everton, absolutely, from the first to the last, were in the face, just doing anything and everything they could to put Liverpool off. And of course, when you go ahead, I mean, that just makes it even better. And the Goodison crowd got behind them and stayed behind them.
You can't argue the result?
I can't really. It's disappointing to lose a goal right at the end. But I can't, no.
It wasn't slick from Liverpool, was it?
No. Well, they never got the chance.
No. Was Everton made it the game that they wanted to make it, which was scrappy. Yep. He's played at Goodison more than me. We've all played there quite a few times, and it's usually a bit of a dry, rutted pitch. It makes it a bit more difficult to pass the ball and play that game that you want. Kind of helps them, their physical nature of their game. Big guy up front, trying to make a nuisance of himself. Obviously the referee, if you're from the Liverpool perspective, probably wasn't on your side if you look at Arne Slot and his coaching staff and some of the players. I'm not really remembering anything really contentious.
No.
Are you?
No.
There's nothing majorly sticking out. I think it was lots of little niggly things. Does that mean that, this is a bit of a statement, but does that mean the whole leaving all these players out at Plymouth for this game, was that necessary, or is there just a bigger picture here, which is the end of the season, you know what I mean? Because ultimately that's what the reason that they were left out, to be super fresh for this game, which they were, but they didn't get the result, and with that they're out of the FA Cup, so it didn't really work out.
Well, they didn't get the result, they didn't deserve the result either from the football that we saw over the 90 minutes.
I'm still alright with it, because they needed to rest at the weekend in order to, you know, they could have got the 3. It ends up a last kick of the game, they lose 2 points, but at the end of the day they might have lost the game had they have all played on Saturday. so I mean,
it's a half full glass again.
And there it is.
But at the end of the day, I think he made the right decision, and it's 7 points.
Yes,
doesn't look as great as 9. But it's still 7 points. That means that somebody like Arsenal has to win out and Liverpool have to lose 3 games.
Jim Beglin, who we watched the game, obviously former teammate of yours, Stevie, he described it as agricultural, which I thought was quite fair from what we saw from Liverpool today. Was that can't just be all down to Everton?
Absolutely it is. Yeah, 100%.
But surely Liverpool should have enough quality to be able to lift their game no matter what the opposition.
And what you're doing is you're going back to what I said at the start, where you look on paper and you look at the players and you look at how Liverpool have been playing, but it's a derby. I lost a game. We were going for a record in the 80s of undefeated games. And to get that, we had to play Everton. We got beat 1-0. And they were as bad, that team that we played that day, as this team were. And we played exactly the same way. The Everton team played exactly the same way in the 80s as the Everton team played today. So I don't think you should underestimate what a difference a derby, and it's that Goodison, makes.
So Liverpool get a pass today because it's a derby?
I think so. I think so. Listen, before the last kick of the game goes in the net, I'm sitting thinking, you know what? You've got to win games different ways. You always want to win it by playing.
So they get a pass at the weekend for losing to Plymouth because they've got to focus on this game, and they get a pass today because it's a derby.
Yes.
Jules?
No, I agree with the boys. I think there was a dog's fight, and I think from a Liverpool point of view, you just could not lose the game. I think a draw is okay. Yeah, it's frustrating because you conceded in the 98th minute. It's a similar kind of goal than the one they consider Newcastle, for example, to make it 3-3 at the time, where they didn't play great in that game. They suffered in midfield because Newcastle made it a fight, exactly like Everton today, in that kind of atmosphere as well as St James's Park. And today was quite similar. And to add to everything that Stevie just said about the derby and the atmosphere and Goodison, it's also the last derby at Goodison. And I think that made even more to everybody who was at the stadium, the fact that they didn't lose that last ever derby there in this incredible stadium that has been there for 100 years or something. And then next season it'll be another one. It'll be at the new stadium, and they will be up for the first one not to lose it, etc., etc. But I think psychologically that it was the last meant a lot to them. And from a Liverpool point of view, they didn't play well, but usually they find an answer. And they almost did that again today by not being good at all. They were still 2-1 up with a few seconds left to play. And I guess on that goal, okay, the offside for a long time, they checked it. It was just on. There might be a slight push on Konate as well. They should have defended better, there's no doubt.
But I think there is some leeway with results. And I mentioned the Plymouth game and the huge rotation. But there is a bigger picture here, which is Champions League and Premier League. And I think there is some wiggle room for a manager when you're 7 points clear.
Right.
Now, if he was 4 or 5 points behind and chasing Arsenal and had done the same thing, maybe you question it a bit more. But I think the fact is, he's looked at, I mean, what is it, one league title in 30 years, which Jurgen Klopp provided. He comes in his first season, he's got a great chance to deliver the second out the blocks. He's in a great position, so it's kind of understandable.
If you said to Liverpool fans before a ball was kicked, okay, you can win one trophy this year, what is it? Every single one of them would say the Premier League.
Right.
Every single one. And that's why what he did at the weekend, even though he didn't win tonight, makes it acceptable.
Salah, a goal and assist.
Scary, isn't it? What was it you said to me halfway through the
said,
second half?
when they're going to bring him on, I was trying to wind you up.
He went, where's Salah? He's invisible. I said, by the way, this invisible guy's got an assist and a goal.
Anyway, his contract stuff's gone a bit quiet, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, it has. That's very true. We haven't talked about it for a while.
He's not brought it up.
No, he hasn't.
But to my knowledge, it seemed to around Christmas and New Year, it grew some arms and legs from, particularly from his side. But it just seems to have gone away for now, so I have absolutely no idea what's going on behind the scenes.
What is going on? Do we know?
Well, we heard from Dejan Lovren yesterday or the day before.
Blast of the past.
Who's one of Salah's best friends. They go on holidays together. They're very, very close. And Lovren, we take it or we live. I mean, that's just Lovren talking and saying that right now Salah is closer to leaving than to staying. I'm not sure how much really we should take from that Lovren quote. But if there's a guy who knows, who speaks to Mo Salah pretty much every day, it will be Dejan Lovren. Is this part of what Craig just described, the Mo Salah sort of PR, what he's been doing? Because at times, even himself, he was like, well, yeah, right now, this is my last season because factually I'm out of contract in June. That might be part of it. I believe, and I was told that the two parties were still talking, that you were still far apart between what Mo Salah wants and what Liverpool are ready to offer. But that doesn't mean that in a month's time, the positions are much closer and they can find an agreement. Again, when we show the graphic and the form that he's on now, as